Thank you, Auntie Robin. Woo! You and me both, sister, you and me both. Right, so we have an absolutely incredible lineup for you today. We've got some really amazing speakers. We've got a couple of speakers here. Then we're going to take a walk up the promenade, and it will be very fabulous. We're going to be singing, we're going to be dancing. It's going to be very high vibe and brilliant. Yeah! And then at the top, this is where the fun really starts. We're going to have a little dance, choreographed dance situation. I know, it sounds unachievable, but I feel like it's achievable. And it will look really amazing because then we're going to walk back down and we're going to do a Mexican wave with everybody here. And we're going to film it from the drones, and it's going to be fabulous. And later we might put it to emotional music and we'll all cry. And you know what will be brilliant as well? One day in years to come, we'll re-watch this footage, and our children will re-watch this footage, and our grandchildren will watch this footage, and they will be so damn proud. So after we have done all that, hold on a minute, we're going to just put a pin in that, because Auntie Robin just wants to quickly talk about something that was missed that's really, really important. And it's speaking to what they call hold the bloodline. And she just wants a couple of minutes before we get going on our next speakers.
I don't know if you know what it means to hold your bloodline. You do? Well, that's what we're doing. All your bloodlines. Not just ours, all bloodlines. Because this is a problem that is not just here, it is all over the world at the moment. So, I reckon to hold your bloodline, to stand tall. Am I not right? Stand tall and keep it clean. Keep it clean means no alcohol, no drugs. At the moment, I'm having trouble with cigarettes, but I'm getting there. So I'm not doing too good with that at the moment. No DNA, well that's what I said, I don't want those vaccinations because they do alter your DNA, right? And I don't want to be told that I'm not who I am, hey? Yeah. Yes, that's right, show them who's boss. The people run the country, not the government. The police have already said that they feel disassociated with people because what they've got to do, and they don't really like doing it. Yeah. So, all I can say to all of us here at the moment is keep your bloodline clean, keep your spirit clean, and keep your fight up.
Amen, amen, amen. So, the last time we had one of these rallies, Reclaim the Line, it was actually started by the National Education United. And it was teachers coming together on October 1st saying, we want to reclaim this line and we don't want to have to keep our jobs. We don't have to have this injection in order to keep our jobs. And unfortunately, the very worst case scenario has now happened. And I feel incredibly, desperately sad, and I know we all do, for the teachers and the situation that they've all been put in this week. As a mother of 4, I also have 3 sisters, and they are all teachers. And we are all devastated and broken that we have allowed it to get to this point in history where these beautiful people who love and care and educate our children are being frog marched out of schools for not wanting to take an experimental injection. And we are all standing here together in unity for them. But you know, a funny thing happened over the last month, because teachers all got together, and they're very organised people. Thank you, teachers. And they organised themselves in a way that other industries haven't quite been able to, because teachers. And they also managed to get nurses and doctors and also police all also standing in unity. And you know what? At this point in time, it's not about whether or not you've had an injection or not had an injection. That actually isn't even the point. The point is we're standing in unity for the freedom to be able to make choices for ourselves that we feel is right for our bodies. And we have radical love and compassion for the choices that other people make, even if they're not the same choices that we would be making. That's okay too. Now, talking about incredibly brave people standing up in their industry and putting their body on the line to reclaim that line, I've got our next speaker. Mark Elliott was a nurse with 30 years experience. 24 of those years he worked in the emergency department as a clinical nurse specialist. His partner Tess is also a nurse and a midwife of 40 years. And together they have an incredible wealth of knowledge and experience, and 4 children and a grandchild on the way. They know COVID and vaccines from the inside out. And you know what they did? They started questioning the narrative. And they started questioning the vaccines, and they started standing up for themselves. And what happened at that point is they then lost their job. And so we have the very brave and courageous Mark Elliott here today to talk about that decision that he made. And so I'd like you to give him a huge welcome. Mark Elliott.
Thank you. I was a nurse. I was a nurse for a little over 30 years. I enjoyed my job, and I hold my colleagues and my workplace in high regard. I was part of a great team who continue to provide excellent care for our local community. My partner Tess was also a nurse and a midwife, as has been said, for over 40 years. We are both unable to work because we refuse to sign up for a clinical trial. Between us, and at times together, we've worked from the city to the bush. We were proud of the work we did, proud of the experience and knowledge we had to share. We felt guilty for walking away from a workplace that was already stretched and understaffed. Leaving a career is about more than the loss of income. Like most people, we still have a mortgage and other financial commitments which must somehow be met. But your work becomes a part of who you are. Your sense of personal worth, achievement, direction, and motivation. It often forms a large part of your social network too. The sudden, unwilling loss of that part of yourself and the plans and dreams which ride with it can be devastating. Grief, anger, depression, and self-doubt are just some of the emotions that cloud your day and distort your vision. We talk a lot about multidisciplinary teams, meaning that it takes a lot of people with a wide array of skills to achieve the desired outcomes for patients. These include doctors and nurses, but also physios, OTs, speech pathologists, radiologists, phlebotomists, clerical and administrative staff, cleaners, wardies, security, catering and maintenance, to name but a few. We hear a lot about nurses. We're a vocal bunch. But little about these other equally important, wonderful people, many of whom have made the same brave decision, and some of whom I know are here with us today. I acknowledge you and thank you. When COVID first came into our lives at work, we were like rabbits in the headlights. Protocols and procedures were developed, and they were practiced, and then they were modified, and they were practiced again. We mastered the masks and the PPE. We absorbed the extra workload in an already busy environment. But then, with the tincture of time, we've learned to live with this new reality. As yet, the reality of the disease itself has barely touched us here in the beautiful Northern Rivers. I pray that it stays that way. Whatever happened, I asked, to the seasonal flu, which used to kill up to 2,000 vulnerable Australians each year and turned emergency departments at times into war zones through the winter months, increasing the workload and decimating the staffing. It's gone. We did what you clearly have all done when confronted with something new and potentially lethal. We researched. Step one, ignore the mainstream media. Step two, gather as much information from as many independent sources as possible. As we did this, researching the nature and origins of COVID, the efficacy and risks of the vaccines, the alternatives for treatment and prophylaxis, and the people and the organizations in play behind the politics. An enormous gulf began to open up between what we understood and what we were being told by our elected officials. Am I a conspiracy theorist? Well, probably I am, and I'm proud of it because I have the audacity to ask questions. Are the decisions and dictates of our politicians based on myopic ignorance? Or are they perhaps influenced by obligations other than those to the people of Australia? These days, to be called a conspiracy theorist is probably one of the least offensive labels that I'll have pinned to my back, I'm sure. But if it looks like a duck, if it waddles like a duck, chances are it's a duck, no matter how many times you tell me otherwise. Why would you need censorship, coercion, and outright brutality to encourage people to comply with something that made sense and was truly in their best interests? The dystopian mutation of society we are watching has been painted by many astute minds over many decades. From George Orwell, Aldous Huxley, to John F. Kennedy, and then to many contemporary minds whose predictions just keep taking shape. This vaccine, it is not a vaccine. It's a therapeutic at best, and a very poor one at that. Remains in clinical trial. You cannot, by definition, give informed consent when its outcome is unknown. You can, if you choose, and I fully understand that so many have been bullied to see no option but to make that choice, but you can, if you choose, to join the clinical trial. We have chosen not to. We have drawn a line in the sand. For those who choose to look, the adverse reactions to these vaccines are at an intolerable level of severity and frequency when compared to any past clinical trial, but they continue to lie. I can only speak anecdotally, but since the rollout, the number of otherwise unexplained persistent headaches, cardiac arrhythmias, respiratory and nervous system complaints that I have seen has been notable, yet I'm sure not formally noted. Early in this pandemonium, we as nurses, and I know it was the same for our medical colleagues, received an email from AFRA, our national governing body, via our employers, stating that anyone expressing views about the COVID vax to patients or colleagues that did not follow the party line could be subject to disciplinary action and possible dismissal. It was a gag order, basically. First, it's the boosters. It doesn't work, so you need more. And now they want the children. Why? Why? How do they manage to sleep at night? These vaccines, though, these vaccines are a tool. They're a tool in a wicked workshop designed to build a world where our democratic and human rights are a mere memory. Compliance is what they need. Compliance born of a desperate desire to hold on to whatever crumbs of normality are left. Freedom is a God-given right. It is not something to be handed out piecemeal by politicians as a reward for obedience. I will not comply. I will not stand silent while the choices I have enjoyed in my life are denied my children and grandchildren. I will not stand silent while their health is threatened by lies and mandates. It is for them that I stand. Our careers are in tatters because we refuse to join a pharmaceutical trial of a drug that looks to be the runt of the litter. I'm probably squeezing the trigger for the coup de grace to that career as I speak. So be it. These are extraordinary times, to be sure. But that's why you're all here, because you are extraordinary people. We, the few who dare to question and refuse to comply, are being silenced, labelled, ostracised, and increasingly excluded from society. While there remains a whisper, a hint of democracy, we must shout, we must argue, we must protest, we must be heard, we must be seen, we must never give up. In closing, I would like to borrow a word from someone we've come to know and admire. Will we comply? No. Nah. Stay strong and hold the line. Thank you.